Donovan L. Wilson, Gary, Indiana. He's a church man. He responded, quote, "This is my lifestyle. I go to work and I go to church," unquote. He was a trusted man, not just any man. He'd been knowing this little girl since she was born. This was her stepfather. This trusted man was her stepfather. He was the father of 4 of her siblings. "There is nothing he wouldn't do for his children," echoed some of the family members. Some very close family members said they had a hard time believing that he was even involved in this. The mother of the 8-year-old who caught him raping her, she knew he was involved in this. I'm sure she didn't have a hard time believing this. The mother was upstairs putting her younger children to sleep and situating them when the 8-year-old would follow her stepfather downstairs. After the mother got her other kids situated, she then went to go check on her 8-year-old. That's when the mother would catch them. Catch her husband raping her 8-year-old daughter. She said she screamed his name, "Donovan!" And he turned around and acted as if he was drunk or acted as if he didn't know what was going on, and he fell to the ground. He was acting like he was confused and he passed out. The young girl, she was shaking in fear. Her mother wrapped her up in a blanket and she would take her to a family member's house. She asked her daughter, "Was this the first time that he touched you?" Her daughter responded, quote, "It happens when you're at work," unquote. So this man, this stepfather, Wilson had been repeatedly raping her little girl every day. Every day. Every day she was at work, this was going on. But yet, he maintained his innocence. I mean, she caught you. The little girl is finally telling on you. How are you innocent? I don't know. The mother would ultimately, of course, take her daughter to the hospital where they would do a rape kit, and there was DNA that was taken from the girl. And yes, his semen was found inside this 8-year-old girl's vagina. Wilson said, quote, "I don't do DNA. I don't know how my DNA got there," unquote. Well, Wilson, I'm going to tell you how your DNA got there. You ejaculated inside this baby girl and you got caught. A DNA sample was taken from the little girl and it was yours. That is how. I mean, come on. Donovan was 28 then, and I think they said he had a November trial. So he had turned 29 when this trial happened. This trial happened, I believe, the end of 2019 or 2020. His defense could not use involuntary intoxication. I guess he was going to try to act like he was so intoxicated he didn't know what he was doing. They also said that he must register as a sex offender for life, and he has to at least serve 83% of his sentence. He's considered a credit-restricted felon. They gave him 30 years. Now, what is a credit-restricted felon? Well, it came up Indiana, so I'm taking maybe they only do this in Indiana. I'm not quite sure. But the defendant would have to have one or more of the following, and he actually has, of course, child molestation involving intercourse. So I guess that is his credit restriction. So he has to do 30 years. As I was looking up some additional information, I ran across, posted 7 weeks from when I finally seen it. It was the actual wife of this pervert and, of course, the daughter of this 8-year-old. I'm going to read a quote that I actually seen from her. Before I even get into that, I have to say that obviously this woman is a church person herself, and she believes in the church. And I've came across women that believed in the church, and they believe in God, and they believe in their husband, and they would sweep something like this under the rug. They would have seen it, and they would have said, okay, let's pray together, or the devil was in you, or they would have, not got this child the proper help that she needs, more or less the proper protection that she needs. And I'm happy to say that this woman did do that. She said, quote, "Unfortunately, he was my husband of 8 years. He was a father figure to her, and we have 4 other children together. Unfortunately, there were no signs from either party. She adored him, and vice versa. I don't randomly leave her home with a stranger. He was her stepfather. I know it's late, but at this time, I'd like to clear up any questions, concerns, or slander. Me and my children are blessed and great. We're in God's hands. Prayerfully, he gets the help he deserves. My prayers goes out to anyone this has happened to." Unquote. He's a pig. He's disgusting. I'm glad that she found this out in due time, and I'm glad that a stop was put to it. It would have eventually happened with the other children, because they rarely just stop at one. I'm so happy that he is where he needs to be, and if he ever does get a chance to get out of jail, hopefully his children are all old enough to where they can fight back and protect themselves. So yeah, it's terrible that a lot of people have blamed this woman for leaving her child with him when this was a man she was married to, and they have several other kids. It's terrible. I've also read comments, the basic ones like, okay, he'll probably die, in prison because he's a child molester. I'm not sure if he's gonna get murdered in prison because of what he did. Looking at him, he has a lot of feminine qualities that'll work well for him when he's in prison, so he'll probably come out on top. I said what I said.